The worst part about losing everything is that nobody's apologizing to me. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review season 13, episode 15 of The Real Housewives ordering a Coca-Cola normal of Beverly Hills. So we start the episode off right where we left off, where Sutton was having a whole emotional breakdown to Kyle because she has to let go of Mercer's ashes into the ocean, but she's also attaching her divorce and her father's death to that. So it's three things all at once. Her emotions are all over the place, so she's crying. Kyle eventually calms her down, and then we see her friend, Chris Bassett, aka Trevor. He comes in and Kyle walks out, and if I didn't know the context of what was going on in this scene between Sutton and Trevor, I would have thought that they were doing coke, because the way that they were putting, Merce into like a little box or whatever, it looks suspicious, right? So they get going, they're on the Sprinter van, everybody's talking or whatever, and then Sutton, she tells Trevor, oh, it's like Bear Week or something, right, in Spain, and, they start talking about how bear in the gay community, it means a bigger or muscular man who's hairy, and Erica Jane, all of a sudden, she knew every single vocabulary, she knew every single definition, she's like, yeah, a bear is somebody who's heavier or somebody who's muscular and hairy. And we also have a little bear, a big bear, a mama bear, and, we have Goldilocks. And I'm like, wow, Erica, she knew a couple of terms that I didn't know because, Garcelle, she was like, oh, when he was on my podcast, which that right there, that was also breaking news to me. Since when did Garcelle ever have a podcast? And how come I didn't know that? And then she titled it, Going to Bed with Garcelle. What kind of whole title is that, Garcelle? Going to Bed with Garcelle. Okay, but she says that she had Andy on it, and she was like, oh yeah, Andy told me that he's a power top. And I'm like, oh, I can already imagine Andy, he's hovering over you. He's like, yeah, tell me what your favorite episode of The Housewives is. Yeah. Louder, bitch. But then I believe Sutton, she's like, yeah, something about, I heard something about somebody being a blouse. I heard that term before, and I'm like, what does that mean? But then I believe Garcelle or Erica was like, oh yeah, it means a feminine top. And for those who don't know what top, bottom, whatever it is, bottom is somebody, and then the top is, you just use the context clues, right? And I always wonder, where do I fit in with these terms or whatever? And I don't know. I guess a t-shirt, a tank top, I don't know, a jacket. I'm whatever you want me to be. But eventually they get to the place where they have to dump the ashes out, right? Sutton, she continues being emotional. She's crying. And I really do feel for her, again, because she's letting go of three important things in her life, right? All at once. So as she's having that emotional moment, she takes out the ashes. And I'm like, oh no, I know it's coming, right? Because we saw in the preview. And then she throws it over the ocean. First of all, there was no railing or nothing. So that already was dangerous. She throws it over the ocean and the wind blows it back at everybody. The way I was laughing so hard, it was just so hard to watch. I'm like, oh no, it was so embarrassing. Kyle took off like how she did in Amsterdam. She was like, she was smart though. She ran up the steps. Erica, she ran back too. I believe Anne-Marie, she started laughing and giggling. She was like, oh no. Garcelle, she was the only one who stood there and she took it on her back. Paused. And I'm like, Garcelle, no, you're supposed to run too. Like, no. And then Erica, she had me dying in the confessional. I don't want this random man that I don't know in my mouth. I don't want to taste a random man. Exactly, Erica, exactly. Merce didn't even take me out to dinner, and now I have him in my mouth. So eventually, Sutton, she does her speech. So that was that. She was like, I'm so sorry. If I was all of them, honestly, and I got any type of ashes on my clothes, I'll just jump right into the ocean myself too, because I don't know. I don't want I don't want somebody's ashes on me while I'm trying to travel all through Spain, right? So eventually, each one of them, they have these flowers around their neck that they also have to let go into the ocean, which I thought, is that littering? Or not technically, or maybe they dissolve, but they all have to go up one by one and throw the flowers into the ocean and say something that they want to let go of. Garcelle, she goes up first and she says that she wants to let go of, the abandonment issue, the feeling of loneliness, because her father, he left the family when she was 3, I believe. And then, on top of that, her husband cheating on her, it just didn't make her feel any better. And now she feels lonely, which is crazy that she mentions all of that, because as she was talking, it's like she was talking to me, because Lately, I've been feeling the same way. This past weekend, I just felt so, this past week actually, I just been feeling so lonely. And then I've been thinking about my biological father as well because we don't have a relationship. And I was thinking about reaching out to him because I don't know, he's just been in my head a lot. And I don't want something to happen and then we'll never have a chance to have a conversation or me to ask him questions about, why did you not want to talk to me for all these years? So it's funny that not funny, but it's interesting how she was talking about that. So then Crystal, she goes up there, she starts it off with, my brother. And I'm like, oh, no, Crystal, no. You need to wrap this up. Your brother, like, why do you continue? I mean, I get it, it's her brother, but like, let the man live his own life. He has his own life. You already ruined his marriage with your mom. Let him be. And Marie, she goes up there. The only thing that she needs to let go of is her diamond for next season. Dorit, she goes up there and she's like, I really want to let go of this PTSD. And I'm like, oh no, not the PTSD. We're still talking about this fake robbery situation. But okay, she wants to let go of that. If I was her, honestly, I would have just said, I want to let go of PK. Boop. And that's that. I would have clapped for her. But then Erica, she goes up there and Erica, she starts off emotional and she's like, I want to let go of all the hurt that I felt the last 2 years and everything that everybody has put me through, including all of you. You see, Erica, any thought of me apologizing to you or any type of forgiveness that I wanted to give to you, yeah, that all would have went out the window for you being petty and trying to call me out, trying to call all of us out like this. Like, we're obviously having an emotional moment. Why are you trying to be like that? Like, and then on top of that, cause you hurt in what way? Again, they were just questioning you and your behavior for certain things. Just like Garcelle says, you didn't like that they were holding a mirror up against you. I can understand why Erica was so defensive the last 2 years, especially, if they're trying to wrap her around a crime that she technically didn't do, allegedly. I could see why she would be so upset, but again, relax, right? So then Kyle, she goes up there and, right away she starts crying and she starts talking about Lorraine. And she's like, I just wish I could figure out what happened with Lorraine or if I could have done something different. And, just like last week, how she mentioned that she went to the psychic and, Sutton told her, you're never going to get those answers. You need to let it go eventually. I could only imagine what she's going through. And then she mentions her sisters, but that's a whole different conversation. I'm like, Kyle, that's on you. But then in the confessional, she says that she wishes that she could talk to this group about what's going on with her marriage with Mauricio. And I'm like, Kyle, what's the holdup? Like, we're on what, episode 15, and you have yet to talk about anything? I mean, you discuss it here and there, but then you're like, oh no, everything is fine, everything is fine. We only see you really just get into it with Mauricio in the confessional by yourself. So when are you actually going to say anything? When are we actually going to see anything between her and Mauricio? Like, I'm sure that the finale is right around the corner, so I'm assuming that she's just prolonging this into the reunion, and I guess, whatever. But then eventually, Sutton's like, okay, let's have a group hug. And, it was cute. It was a cute, vulnerable moment between all of them. It was nice. And they all hugged, and that was that. Crystal surprisingly apologized to Erica, and she was like, I'm so sorry if I contribute to any of your hurt. Erica was like, it's fine, it's okay. And then she's like, that's all I want. I want people to take accountability. What about you? Where's your accountability to begin with, Erica? But, Crystal's much better than me. She wouldn't have gotten anything out of me after that slick comment that she just made while throwing her flowers. But, and she tells everyone, okay, we're going to go back home. We all need to get ready in our dress, in our red outfits and stuff because we're having flamenco night. Olé. And, they're going out to this restaurant. They're going to dance and everything. And then we see a flashback of them practicing choreography, which I don't understand why we got that in a flashback. It looked interesting. And Erica, she seems to have some type of choreography or movement inside her. So it would have been nice to see. And can we be honest for a second? And maybe it's just me, but I don't know. This trip to Spain has been pretty lame and boring, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. They're just there just to be there, and it's not that I don't enjoy them getting along and having all these sentimental moments, but I mean, we're in Spain and we're not really doing anything. Like, let's go out, let's do something. But they're just sitting there, eating papayas, throwing ashes on the ocean. And another opinion of mine is, and again, you might not agree or you may not like this, but I kind of miss Lisa Rinna. Who said that? Like, I don't know. I miss her toxicness, even though she kind of took it to a whole different level last season. But I kind of miss her dramatics, her theatrics, her just everything. And I don't know. I don't think that we necessarily need her, but we need somebody close to her. You know how Monica from the Salt Lake City Housewives, how she came on this past season and she shook the whole entire show to the core? I feel like we need somebody like that for next season for Beverly Hills, because I mean, I don't know. It's just, again, I like them getting along, but we need somebody to shake things up or to question Kyle on her marriage. Like, Kyle has literally been sitting on her marriage, her possible divorce, this whole Morgan situation the entire season, and nobody really questions her. She just kind of skates by, and I don't know. But again, maybe it's just me. What does everybody else feel? Garcelle and the Sprinter Van, they start talking about how, you know, in marriages and divorces, you always have to look out for everything that you're signing with your husband. Kyle, on the other hand, she's like, oh, well, I just signed whatever Mauricio gives to me. And I'm like, so you're just trying to go to jail, huh? And I saw somebody on Twitter, they tweeted saying, oh, you know, that's how Teresa got caught up. And that's how she ended up going to jail, because she signed whatever that Joe was given to her. And look what happened to her. Kyle, that's a very foolish mistake to do. Like, don't do that, especially with Mauricio. Like, Mauricio just gives me undercover snake. So they get to the restaurant, they're sitting down, they're ordering their drinks. Miss International, Dorit, she comes up with this weird way of ordering a drink. And she's like, ¿Me puede dar una Coca-Cola normal? Una Coca-Cola normal, por favor. And I'm like, una Coca-Cola normal translates to a regular Coke. I'm like, Dorit, you don't have to add all the extra words to it. Like, we know what you want to order, but okay, right? You know, she wants to feel special. So after that, they're like, okay, so what was everybody's favorite part of the whole trip? The trip is coming to an end, which feels like the whole trip was just like, what, 2 seconds long? And for the most part, they all agreed that they liked that they were bonding with each other. They were being emotional and vulnerable with the activity that they did earlier with the ashes. Then we get to Erica, and Erica was like, well, I mean, this trip was much different than last year's Aspen trip. And the producers, they love replaying that scene of Erica from last season when she said, I don't give a fuck about anybody but me. Like, I promise you, producers, I promise you, we remember that scene. We don't have to watch it every other episode. We don't have to constantly go flashback to it. We remember how she was a monster, right? And she feels that this whole trip was much different than last year's trip. You know, this trip, everybody gets her, everybody's off her back. And Marie, she questions her, and she's like, so you said something earlier about, you know, you feeling hurt, or you feeling like, you know, this group needs to apologize to you or something about that. What was that about? And I'm like, ooh, not Anne-Marie being nosy, but okay. So then Erica, she was like, well, I mean, I just feel like last year, everybody was constantly questioning me about everything, about these earrings, and it was just too much. And once I won the appeal, you know, I just thought that, you know, everybody will see it from my perspective. So Garcelle was just like, okay, so do you feel differently now? Like, do you feel like you could come to us, like you could trust us? Because at the Eagle Woman event earlier this season, you said otherwise. She says, well, I mean, honestly, I don't know. It's kind of like a work in progress. I'm not sure. Maybe eventually we'll get to that point. But as of now, I'm okay. And I'm like, you know, okay, but you're still not getting an apology. But okay. So then Sutton, she calls her out and she's like, well, you know, you're going to do your show soon. And everybody got an invite but me. What was that about? And Erica was like, well, you know, yeah, you could come. Everybody's invited. I wouldn't just exclude you. But it is very interesting and kind of fishy how you invited everybody personally, but you didn't invite Sutton. Like, and then now you're just throwing out oh yeah, you could come. Of course, I'm not going to exclude you. But yet you did technically exclude her. So what was that about? And if I was Sutton, I would be like, you know what? F you. Actually, no, I can't say F you because that's the finale. So, okay, I'm coming anyway. So that was that. Eventually, we see Manalo. I believe he shows up with his guitar. He's playing the music. We see the dancers. They're like, okay, everybody has to get on stage. We all have to dance. Dorit, you know, her dress was really pretty. And she's like, oh my God, my baby, no, I cannot go on stage. My dress is way too long. I cannot do this. I cannot dance right now. Erica was like, yeah, no, you have to pick up your dress and we have to dance. So let's go. So Dorit, she was actually, you know, good about it because she got on stage with everybody. They all started dancing, or at least, you know, they started moving to the beat. And it was a cute scene. I was waiting for Erica, you know, to just break out into her Las Vegas choreography, like, put on a whole show. But it was cute, and that concludes the whole Spain trip, which, like I said earlier, I mean, it was okay, I guess. Again, it was nice to see them bonding, but, you know, I wouldn't mind a little ounce of toxicness here and there, right? They get back to Beverly Hills, oh, so we think that they do, because people observe every little detail with this show. We see a scene of Garcelle receiving these shoes in the mail that she was so excited for, right? But people online, they brought up this picture that they took as a group photo in Spain on their trip to Spain, and Garcelle was wearing these exact same shoes. So clearly this scene that we're watching of Garcelle receiving the shoes was before the trip, but now the editors are trying to show it to us as if it's after the trip. So, you know, it's very interesting. They cut out a whole day of the trip, I guess. So who knows what else we didn't see. Obviously, it wasn't good enough to make the cut though, right? So then we see, what's her name? Dorit. She's heading over to Kyle's house, and I wonder if this scene was also before or after the trip. But regardless, she's there to check up on her, to see what's going on with her and their friendship, because Dorit feels like, you know, something's going on between her and Kyle. There's a disconnect, and yeah, Dorit, if you don't open up your eyes quickly and attach yourself to somebody else quickly, you're gonna be iced off the show, because Kyle, she's not seeing it for you. So then Kyle, she's telling her that, yeah, her and Mauricio, well, her specifically, she's been seeing a therapist, and she doesn't know what's going on with her and Mauricio. They're just disconnected. You know, Mauricio, from what we see in the flashbacks and their conversations, Mauricio is just all about the agency, his job, traveling for work, business trips, just all of that. And it's just never there for Kyle. And, you know, it's so sad and disappointing to see how Kyle talks about her marriage with Mauricio now, because again, at one point in the earlier seasons, like 10, 12 years ago, she would talk so highly about her marriage, about Mauricio. Like she was so in love with Mauricio. And it's so sad to see that now, you know, she's kind of falling out of love with him and she's just not here for him anymore. And that's the way love goes. That's the way love goes. And Mauricio, I'm surprised that he doesn't get the hint. Or maybe he's also checked out of the whole marriage, because he's just constantly telling her like, oh, do you want to go to this work event, this work event, this work event? And he's putting so much effort into this and that and the third. But like Kyle said, you're not putting any type of effort on fixing our relationship, our marriage, and hearing me out in our communication. So, you know, I also wonder what's his side of the story. I hope he does show up at the reunion and says, you know, what he feels about this. Like, did you see this coming? Like, did you think that your relationship with Kyle was okay? Like, it just seems like he's just there just to be there, but it's kind of like another job. And maybe he's doing all of this with the agency to avoid Kyle, because he probably also has fallen out of love with her. But, you know, both of them need to get a divorce at this point, because Kyle is clearly not happy with him and he's not getting it. And, you know, Kyle, if he doesn't get it, then, yeah, you need to pack up your stuff and go to Morgan's house and call it a day. But that was that. That's unfortunate to see. We shall see how that whole thing plays out. And if they stay together in the end, probably not. But let me know what you all thought about this whole entire episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.